always wanted to do something that helped other people and that left the world better than I found it. Like building a business around a customer is so powerful because you want to be solving that problem for them and being in understanding like how they shop, what's important to them. So that's how we knew like, yes, there's some people who really love sustainability and that's what brings them to the product. But some people like things that are Instagrammable and that's what brings them to the product.
You want to cater for all types of consumers.
Absolutely. And in a sense, it doesn't bother me whether someone picks up the tampons because they think it looks cute or because it's for health reasons or it's because of sustainability reasons, because ultimately it's having the same impact that we intended.
What if your period products could make life's messiest moment your proudest? Suzanne is co-founder and chief brand officer of Here We Flo, the fast-growing femcare and wellness startup that's turned natural, sustainable period care into a cheeky feminist movement. Since 2017, she has scaled Flo from a Kickstarter side hustle to a B Corp certified brand that you can find in all major retailers in the UK and the USA, like Boots, Holland & Barrett, Ocado, Sainsbury's, Whole Foods, CVS, and Amazon. Flo uses a bold design and activist ethos to fight stigma and build confidence. Welcome to Reinventing Capitalism, the podcast where I, Claudia Thomas, decode the success of for-profit impact businesses through the stories of their founders. Our goal is to inspire you towards a purpose-driven career, because life's too short for boring jobs and soul-crushing corporations. Quick note before we get back to the episode. Just give me 30 seconds of your time. Two things. The first is a huge thank you for listening and tuning into the show week after week. It means the world to me. And the second is that we are just getting started. If you enjoy what we do here, please join the 14% of people that listen to this podcast regularly and follow us on this app. I promise to do everything in my power to make this show as good as I can, now and into the future. Thank you.
Suzanne, thank you so much for having me in your offices here in London.
Thanks for featuring me on the podcast.
You are the founder of Flo, a company that you started during your studies at LSE.
Yes.
That you founded with your best friend, Tara.
Yes.
That in less than 6 years, your products can be found in all major supermarkets across the US and the UK. So your products can be found at Boots, Holland & Barrett, Ocado, Sainsbury's, CVS. Tell us about your product. What do you guys sell?
So we sell plant-based period care, sustainable condoms, and sexual wellness products, and sensitive bladder products as well. And they are made from plant-based materials like organic bamboo and organic cotton. They come in beautiful packaging that says things like "Hello Gorgeous," very Instagram friendly. And it's because we wanted to speak to and create products that really fit our aesthetic. As you know, being in our mid-20s at the time, we were looking around at products and seeing that there was clean options in beauty and in food and in all these other categories, but when it came to something for your intimate health, you were stuck with conventional products that were largely based from petroleum-based plastics or other, synthetic materials that weren't great for your body or the planet.
Why are they not great for you? Like, how do they really impact human health, women health?
So of course, in the case of like a tampon, that's made from rayon or other synthetic materials, they've been found with pesticide residue on them, and then that goes inside of your vagina. That is the most absorbent area of your body. Yeah. You don't want like weed killer in there. It's not great in terms of the like absorbency with the synthetic material. They've been found to cause toxic shock syndrome if you're using something that's too absorbent of a tampon, and it causes tears inside. If you have a particular strain in your body, then it will then make you at risk for toxic shock syndrome. There's been a 0% incidence rate with organic cotton tampons. Yeah.
And tell us about the story of how you met your best friend and how you
of course.
started the company.
Set the scene. This is 2013. So I grew up in Boston. Our family is from Montserrat, so I'm technically the British American founder, but I had never come to London until I came to study at the LSE. But I was working in New York at the time in philanthropy, very into fashion and trends and all these things, and also very passionate around social justice, because that's what I was working in. And in that sort of like nonprofit space, anything corporate or business is very much a dirty word. But I'm like, we're in a capitalist society. Maybe I should learn about business. So this is what, made me apply for the master's program. On the other side of the country, Tara Priyachandra, love of my life, platonic soulmate. She had studied at Columbia, did economics, was in LA working in the music industry. And
completely different backgrounds.
Completely different backgrounds, nothing to do with CPG whatsoever. But her career was sort of largely controlled by older men, and she was looking for a sense of empowerment, and that's what caused her to apply for the program. On the first day, we sat next to each other, Alan Chandra. Meet, fall in best friend love instantly. After a week and a half of classes doing all these case studies, which you'll know it well, we were going to the bathrooms together, and I said, forget the PayPal mafia, we should start the feminist mafia. Let's start a business together. And she was desperately searching for organic cotton tampons, right? And in LA, there's a Whole Foods on every corner, so she would find them really easily, but here there's 5 of them. And she's like, anyway, why should you have to go to a special store to get something that's better for your body and better for the planet? That's what sort of sparked that conversation. And then from a brand perspective, and even marketing, it's I don't want to run around in all white on my period. I don't want to go horseback riding. I don't want to play tennis. We just wanted something that sort of represented periods in a real way and felt like that best friend conversation. And so probably because we were in business school, we left saying the product strategy was affordable, accessible, adorable, and sustainable. And the brand voice was funny, feminist, and fierce. Yeah. And that, what eventually led to all the bright colors and the tampons and the ice cream pot and all of that. And so our 17 male classmates, very tired of us talking about tampons and pads in all of the class presentations, but it was actually a great place to develop the business idea and really think it through. And then Tara did her dissertation on the business case at the end of the program. That's the origin story.
That's awesome. So before we get into talking about how you built the company, you have a very interesting background because you came from philanthropy into the business world. How do you think your experience in the philanthropy world shaped how you are building Flo?
So I think, especially my last role before I left the foundation was Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which is now a controversial word in our environment.
Unfortunately.
But what that really impressed on me was how much more difficult it is. First of all, culture, there's always going to be a culture to your company. Either it forms by default, if you don't pay any mind to it and you're not intentional, or by design. Yeah. And it's much more difficult, and it tends that people pay attention to culture when something goes wrong, typically, right? It's much more difficult to try to shoehorn design into something that has been existing by default for 30 plus years than it is to just build it intentionally from the beginning. Yeah. And so coming into Flo, there was the sort of traditional impact aspects, which is us, giving 5% of our profits to charity, having charitable partners, making sure that sort of giving back was a part of our culture. So we do product donations as well. Anytime there's a disaster that happens or whatever, we're always trying to give, even as a small business. But the culture and the kind of place that you exist, I think, as a founder, that was something that I was quite passionate about. I always said, it was years before we started hiring team members, but I had a vision of making it a place where people can come and be their whole selves, because I've understood watching people sort of mask aspects of their identity and how much mental capacity that takes up that they're then not able to put into the job. If you're worried about whether or not you can talk about your partner because you're LGBTQ, part of the queer community, that's something that you're thinking about and sort of editing yourself all the time. And that takes away from what you're able to put into the job. And you never fully feel like you can be yourself at work. And so I was just did on a DEI panel at South by Southwest London a few weeks ago, and it really made me think about how much differently in this company I think about DEI versus working in a much larger company where you have like ERG groups and all these different things. I was even filling out a DEI survey for Tesco yesterday, and we don't really think about it like that. We think about creating a space where anyone that comes from anywhere and has any experience can come and thrive in that environment and has a space to speak up and say, hey, I need this thing in order to really continue to thrive here. So I think that time that we spent, even when we were a team of 3 sitting down writing mission, vision, values, has really helped create a culture that people admire and want to be a part of. Yeah. I get LinkedIn messages all the time from people like, I know you're not hiring right now, but if you're ever hiring, just keep my CV. And I think that's the biggest
very
compliment
rewarding,
that anyone can give me.
Yeah, I agree. And how do you feel that you can have more impact in business or in the non-profit sector? I think it's a big question, but it's still a debate that, it's hard to get an answer.
I think for me personally, as an individual, I can have more impact on business. And that was sort of when Tara and I were having that conversation in the bathroom. Because you could sort of make the most eco product possible, but if it doesn't have the efficacy that people expect from using conventional products, they will use it once and they'll never buy it again. And perhaps they might never try another sustainable product again. And so that's something that we have always had to balance, where we have, we use a small amount of plastic in the pads called super absorbent polymers. And it's the same way that eco diapers use the same thing, because if it leaks as a period product, like they're not gonna use that again. They're gonna go back to what they've used before. And so it's sort of holding that responsibility, something that we had to do.
So it's a matter of reach?
Yeah. If you're able to do that, then it becomes a mass market product and you're able to convert much more. And if you have, 40% of the people who are using conventional brands switch over to us, and we grow the green category in that way, that has a massive impact versus, I think me working in an individual charity or even in a philanthropy, like the philanthropy itself is doing really great work, but in terms of the influence I can have as an individual, it's much more limited. And just with any large company, it just becomes layers of bureaucracy and things that you have to go through to get something done, and you don't have the decision-making power that I have. So I think both are really important, and I think it's actually important to partner with those, and that's something that we envision as the business sort of grows, is sort of like setting up our own foundation that can do much more. So I'll get back into like put my philanthropy hat back on and be able to give more and have more impact in that way. But I think for us, in crafting the business, you wanted to make sure, even as we're selling a product, it's having an impact, because it is making that change. It's removing more plastic out of landfill. It's better for people sort of like health-wise, and having an impact in terms of like their health experience.
Absolutely.
Well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so you decide to disrupt the femcare industry by creating sustainable products from scratch. What were like the concrete moves that you took to build a prototype?
Yeah, so it's classic CPG. So you use third-party manufacturers. We got lots and lots of samples from the manufacturing part. Tara did incredible research on the FDA database, found the manufacturers, harass them until they would actually take us seriously, because they're like, what is this business you haven't yet started? But got samples in and then worked with them to sort of make the most sustainable product we could at the time.
So you got them kind of like pre-made, and then you also gave them feedback to get the outcome that you specifically wanted?
Yeah, so sometimes we'll find, so for instance with our tampons, we're now using regenerative cotton. We identified that manufacturer and connected them with our tampon manufacturer so that they can work together. And obviously it was harder to do when we were smaller, but as we've grown as a business and people can see that we're continuing to grow, they're more willing to innovate. I think it also helped that there was a lot of the larger grocers were then saying they wanted to eliminate single-use plastic by 2030, that kind of thing then, because they're manufacturing products for much larger companies, including companies like us. But that was just always, we sort of had that mindset, let's get started and continue to green innovate. And so that, even with the super absorbent polymers I mentioned, we've been working for years to find bio alternatives that's now coming onto the market. And so we'll be able to introduce that and have like a fully plant-based pad. But it's, it takes time and a lot of persistence to get people to do the right thing.
Because it seems like you were experimenting a lot by putting these, like bringing these suppliers together.
Yeah.
Was there a process to prove the positive impact that these products would have on women?
So we did a lot of we, as a small company, we didn't have money to do like large scale testing, but we had our friends. That was great about, even when we started and Tara was doing her dissertation, we were in the university at LSE. Mm-hmm. So we did focus groups, like bought some pizzas and got people in, and like that's how we discovered, because initially we thought maybe it should be a D2C business because periods are cyclical. A subscription service would seem to back that.
That would be interesting.
But then you talk to people with periods, they're like, I don't know when it's coming. I don't know how much I pay for this. And actually, by the way, what would be great is if I had some lube. And so just having those open conversations, it also spoke to us about this larger mission of bashing shame and stigma, because it was like such a rare opportunity for them to be able to talk about all these issues freely. Mm-hmm. And it was gold for us as us trying to build the company and making sure we were creating a product that really was serving the customer and the community that we were looking to build and be a part of. But yeah, there is this larger thing where even when we go out and like sample at a netball game, you have dads stopping by to talk about, how do I talk to my daughter about her first period? People want to talk about these issues, and you just have to create the space for it and like take the pressure out of it. So that's like using the humor to sort of break the ice. Yeah. So that really helped in sort of shaping what the product would be and what people were looking for.
So on top of being sustainable, like on top of the impact that it has on women and the impact that it has on the planet, you mentioned earlier that you're also giving a percentage of your profits to charity.
Yeah.
How do you like balance that pledge with making the company financially sustainable?
Yeah. So I mean, like, even we made the commitment. So even when we're not profitable, we still make monthly donations to our 3 charity partners. So we work with Bloody Good Period, who's working to end period poverty, the Orchid Project, who's working to end female genital mutilation and cutting, and AKT, who's working to end homelessness in the queer youth community. And so through monthly monetary donations, but also through product donations, as well as using our platform to amplify the work that they're doing. So if that's to our database, sending information about that, or using our socials, or even showing up at their events as like volunteers, or just to come out and support what they're doing. And as we've grown and sort of been able to dedicate more resources, we're working to do a lot more of that. Engaging with their communities as well this year. But it is an important thing for us to do, because as a business, I think it's correct for you to recognize your role. Like, we try to have as much impact as we can, but I still wouldn't say in some ways that we're a social impact business in the way that some others are set up to, like, specific, almost like a hybrid of a business and a charity, like a CIC or something. But we can grow. I think it's easier to grow larger as a successful business and then use your platform to highlight that kind of work. And so we're always trying to platform what our charity partners are doing, because they are the ones that are doing the hard yards and having amazing day-to-day impact with communities that really need the services that they're providing. And so that's the vision as we, become more profitable, and we can then use that to sort of like become a foundation and perhaps even help other charities. So the vision grows with the business for what that kind of impact can look like.
Yeah, but as you were saying earlier, it makes a lot of sense that you have both, because then like the company is what fit into the foundation. Because otherwise, the work that you do with a foundation, it might not be it might not last in the long term, because it doesn't have a way to be sustainable.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that's just feeding from the business. We had the pleasure of speaking with Edgard and Cooper, who the pet company, and that's something that they've done really incredibly. And it stems right from their mission, but they've been hugely successful commercially, and they're able to take the profits from that and continue to help support animals around the world. So it's really cool.
Really cool. Did you have a moment where you knew that the company was going to be a success?
Tara is yelling wherever she is right now, knock on wood. I mean, I don't know if we ever really feel successful, but I think as the team has grown, we're 21 women now.
It's all women, right? The team?
Yeah, it's still all
Wow.
women. We really, we do everything that we can to really increase the candidate pool, but what can I say? Men don't openly want to come and help us sell tampons, but we are working on it. We do have incredible men on, like our board chair refers to himself as the chief male ally of the Vampire.
Who, sorry?
He refers to himself as chief male ally of the Vampire.
Okay.
Yeah. So he gets it. And we have incredible male investors and partners that we work with externally. We just haven't hired our first male team member, but it's coming. And we do keep in mind, it's why so one of the benefits that we have is wellness days. So one day a month, everyone can just, with 24 hours notice, take a day off. And at first it was sort of like period leave, because the first day period can be, or the second day, whatever it is, but there's always that day that's like, take me
You're
now.
dead.
But then it was like, well, we need to expand that, because one, wellness sort of encompasses whether it's mental wellness or whatever it is that you need to engage. But I'm like, one day we're going to hire a man, and he's not going to take period care leave necessarily. But wellness is for everyone, and it's our way of a company sort of investing and encouraging everyone to sort of take care of themselves and have some semblance of work-life
Balance.
integration, if not balance.
Okay, so let's move on to...
Oh, I didn't answer your question. But for the
true,
team.
the success.
Yeah. So I think it's been impressed upon Tara and I that we need to stop and celebrate the successes, because it's important for the team, where we're like, if we celebrate, we don't want to jinx it, right? It's like, it's important for them to know that the milestones, because the road to where we want to get to is a long one, and it's not linear. But I think us getting into our first grocer, Tesco. Well, I'll say for one, getting into Boots was when we were like, oh, we're a real business now. And so we raised the seed round, hired our first 2 employees. But last year, launching with Tesco, and then later in the year with Sainsbury's was huge for us, because 70% of people buy their period care through the grocery channel. And so it was a real milestone for us as a business of like, not only getting in, but then selling really well as well. So that has felt like a huge success. But we're never resting on our laurels. We just have to keep pushing. We're obsessed with rate of sale, just wanting to continue, because you get in to a certain set of stores, and then if you're successful in those, then they expand you to more doors. And for instance, Tesco then tripled our distribution in March and took in our sexual wellness and sensitive bladder products. Thank you. So, that's incredible. But it has felt like those were definitely major milestones where it's like, okay, we're going.
Hi, can I ask you a quick favor? Every week, we dive into the stories of founders that do more than just make money. Our mission is to prove that a career in impact can be both purposeful and financially sustainable. If you believe in creating meaningful work, share today's episode with one friend who's ready to make a difference. It would mean a great deal to me. Your support is what keeps this show alive and growing. Thank you.
You are a Black female founder.
I am.
Have you encountered any setbacks when founding and scaling your business?
Oh, sure. I mean, we've been really successful, thankfully, in raising through angel, but raising in institutional has been a challenging experience, just as the stats would tell you. I think for me personally, especially stepping into this role as chief brand officer and becoming the face of the brand, I am a natural introvert. And I felt much comfortable in my prior roles of chief operating officer and chief people officer, when I was setting up things in the background. But you have to get used to walking into spaces where I'm the only person that looks like me. And I've just sort of like purposed it to myself that I'm going to take up as much space and be my most authentic self, so that if there is one other person in the room that looks like me, they know that we have a right to be here as well. And it's sort of like creating space for people to come behind me. So I'm trying to set a good example and also show people that this is something that if I did it, you can do it.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, it can be scary at times. I'm grateful that I have Tara, because I think in general, whatever color or creed you are, the entrepreneurial journey can be a very lonely one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's great to have that person that I can sort of like talk to and vent to and get advice. And, you know, find one of our values is kindness is a courageous queen. And so you can feel whatever you're feeling, and it's good to have a space where it's free that you can talk about what you're feeling, but you want to come back around to center, where it's like kindness is queen, and this is the way we're going to enter the world and treat other people. But yeah, you need that safe space to be able to process all those emotions.
Well, I think even if you had any setbacks, like you're doing great. So you're definitely a role model both for female of color and non-color, like, because after all, we're all the same.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You have one of the most fun, explosive, daring brand strategies I've seen in a while, and it truly like makes you want to know more about female care. How important is branding to connect with your consumers?
Oh, it's everything. It's what, you know, why we had the ice cream tub. I told Tara, because neither one of us come from money, right? So everything that we've done for the company either came from like our meager savings, or we've had to raise from Angel, etc. We started with a Kickstarter campaign, so pre-sold 14,000 pounds, and that's how we got started. Actually, LSE contributed to that Kickstarter. And I sort of said, like, we're not going to be able to afford a billboard for a really long time. The product needs to be a billboard. And that ice cream tub has been worth its weight in gold. Just from the fact of you put it in the, and you're just like, what is ice cream doing in this aisle?
So just for the audience that might be just listening, just explain like how the packaging is.
Yeah, of course. So our lovely eco-applicator organic cotton tampons come in an ice cream tub, which our first prototypes actually came from the same factory that produces the ice cream tubs for Baskin Robbins. Okay. Because that was the only one that could make us tubs that didn't have a plastic lining on the inside, which kept them from being recyclable. And so the tampons are in there. They come with both regular and super applicator tampons, so you have everything you need for one period in one ice cream tub. And it's pink with a bright pink with a yellow heart flow written across the top, and it is our first Tesco buyer called it a trolley magnet. So in general, most people use pads and liners. It's like 70 to 80% of the market is pads and liners, but the tampons is what will make people stop in the aisle. It's the billboard. And then you pick it up and it says, "Hello, gorgeous." It's like it's inviting you to be part of the fempire. Join the feminist mafia. Be part of this community. And then they try it, and the products are great, and they love it, and they can then read more about us as a company. So they'll go on our Instagram and see all the bright colors. Right now we have today billboards of me in my pants with my tampon string showing. Because we're wanting to, we commissioned some research with YouGov around Gen Z feelings around periods, and like 83% still feel shame about their periods. I think over 50% feel like advertising for periods is not done in a realistic way. So me and some of the Flo babes were out on Brick Lane at 6 o'clock in the morning in our pants taking pictures. So that is going live at Blackfriars and in
well, that's how you connect with consumers, because you make them relate with your brand.
100%. It's all about relatable content, and
exactly.
Just being authentic and keeping it real. That's what drives real conversation, and that's what ultimately will change attitudes and feelings, and acknowledging for a long time I did hide my tampon up my sleeve when I was in the office because it didn't feel safe to do that. And now I'm walking the streets in my period pants. So it's but it's important to acknowledge why those things are the way that they are, and having that conversation and building that sense of community is what helps to change those attitudes and getting comfortable with making other people feel uncomfortable.
So it seems that you build this concept of this community of your values when it was just you and Tara. So I assume it was a very small team on a
Yeah,
tight
Tara,
budget.
2 people. Yeah.
And 2 other people. So how can, you know, a small company kind of like create their branding or their voice in a tight budget? Like, what are the 2 or 3 step like guide that you would advise?
So we taught ourselves Illustrator.
Okay.
And so we designed the packaging ourselves. And I think the power of like WhatsApp, like using the tools that are there and just sending, like Flo could have been named Onyx, and that would have been terrible, Clau. Sending it out to your friends and getting them to vote on what the name is, like that kind of really use. This is assuming that your friends are in your demographic, but like find ways to access your demographic as cheaply as possible and just have conversations, because you're gonna have to iterate the product. Initially, the tampons were called a get set pack, and no one knew what that means. We had to get rid of that and put organic tampons on the front, which was a lesson in sort of like chaos packaging. You can't go too chaotic or people aren't going to know what you're doing.
Yeah, the mix between like being disruptive but being relatable.
Exactly. But that's the most important thing I tell people. Like, building a business around a customer is so powerful, because you want to be solving that problem for them and being in understanding like how they shop, what's important to them. So that's how we knew, like, yes, there's some people who really love sustainability and that's what brings them to the product. But some people like things that are Instagrammable and that's what brings them to the product.
Yeah. You want to cater for all types of consumers.
Absolutely. And in a sense, it doesn't bother me whether someone picks up the tampons because they think it looks cute or because it's for health reasons or it's because of sustainability reasons, because ultimately it's having the same impact that we intended. And it's a way of sort of like bringing them into the circle to try to start to have these conversations. Yeah.
What advice would you give founders on resilience?
Get prepared to build it. One of my friends who's also an entrepreneur describes this life as entrepreneurship as lurching from one crisis to another.
Okay.
And it's not that, but it is that in a way. Like there's always, but it will balance. So there's always something will happen. I joke that I tell someone once a week, never start an effing business. But at the same time, I couldn't see myself doing anything. I love my team. I love the work that we're doing. I think it stretches me. It's like changed me as a person personally. It gives me an opportunity to meet so many amazing people. But there are going to be those things that it's just like, oh, like not now, not again. And I think the important thing is to sort of like build people around you. And so I think especially it's important to sort of like find those like founder collectives or whatever, to have people that are also entrepreneurs, because they're going to understand what it is and you won't have to explain it. And that's really powerful, to just show up and be like, this thing has happened. And they'll be able to understand it in a different way than like your friends that might have a more traditional job. Because they're going to be like, if it's this bad, like why are you doing it? Like just get another job. And that's not what you need to hear. It's like, no, I need someone to be like, dude, I've been here. Like, take a breath, and tomorrow contact these 2 people, and they'll be able to talk to you about this, or this is what I did. And that's what's really helpful about finding that community of people who are also building things. And you want someone who's like a bit ahead of you. It's good, then people will join the group that are like a few steps behind you, and you'll be able to pay it forward to them. But it's so important to just have that space where you can like be real, because there's things you'll be able to say to a group like that you can't say to your team.
Absolutely. No
matter how flat of a structure you have, because you still have this responsibility to keep the ship steady and not like cause panic or turmoil. Yeah.
How has Flo changed you?
I mean, the fact that I'm doing this, I've grown so much in my ability to pretend to be an extrovert. And it's...
You're doing great, by the way.
Thank you. I
wouldn't have said.
It's something that like I couldn't have imagined myself. I'm so happy to not talk to strangers. I cannot impress upon you. I mean, at the same time, I love a deep conversation, so I love connecting to people one-to-one. But actually, like 2 years ago, the idea of me going and having to do a keynote, in front of a crowd. And at this point, I've spoken in front of hundreds of people at a time. And if you had told me that 3 years ago, I would have told you you're insane. So I've grown in that way. I think I've grown in definitely my own confidence journey. I went on that before I was able to do this job, and sort of valuing myself and what kind of leader I want to be in the business. And I think also I've always been really comfortable in people praising my work, but in this role now, I find that people are praising me, because I think when you're in a role like this where you're talking to lots of people and you're sharing your experience, it is kind of about you. Like, you are the work in a sense.
Absolutely.
And I'm still quite uncomfortable. I'm working on it though, right? Because when you told me before earlier that it's like I can be inspiring to other people, I just said thank you, and I didn't hide under the table just for reference. But that's what I want to do when people say things to me like that. So it's stretched me. It's still stretching me in lots of ways, but I think it's been really powerful for the team to witness that growth in me and know that it's capable for them. Yeah. And I think that really helps drive me.
Yeah. They're probably still curious to see who you're going to become, because you never stop evolving.
100%.
And has your definition of success changed?
Oh, I don't think so. My personal, in general, I've never sort of known exactly what I wanted to do, other than
You didn't?
No, I've always wanted to do something that helped other people and that left the world better than I found it. Ultimately is my overall ambition in whatever I'm doing. And as I've grown in my career that's taking me to all these different places, my understanding of what that means and what that can look like has changed and evolved. But ultimately that is success for me. Like, of course, we're working really hard and we want the business to be commercially successful, but a lot of that is like, I want to pay back our shareholders that have been supporting us from the beginning when we showed up with like ice
that
cream.
Have trusted you.
And like the prototypes were soup pots that we stickered ourselves. Like it was giving ghetto. It was very
It was
very DIY in the beginning. And so we've grown so much since then. But I really want them to be rewarded for what they've invested in. But really, I think the biggest success would be for people for us to achieve our mission, where people feel crazy confident in their messy moments instead of feeling shameful. Because I think people think that shame is just like a minor inconvenience, but I've seen how that shows up. Just going back to the health message, like it's taking the average person 7 years to get an endometriosis diagnosis on the NHS. And there's so much, because women's health is so under-resourced and under-researched, there's so much advocacy that you have to do for yourself. Yeah. And I think about when I go to the GP and how nervous I still feel with as educated that I've been privileged to be, with the business that I'm working in and I built, with all the knowledge that I have, that I can't think of like an average woman that doesn't have access to any of those things, is then having to go into an office, try to push through the shame and stigma and say like, actually, no, I don't want to be put on the pill. I need you to look into my symptoms. And if that doesn't work with that GP, go to the next one. And that's what's really important. Like it really impacts people's lives. And I think if we are able to get rid of that shame, the impact that will have is something that we can't even quantify.
Yeah, absolutely. And where do you see Flo evolving to? So beyond period care, where do you see Flo expanding its product range? Any other taboos that you haven't tackled yet?
So we have like the sexual wellness and sensitive bladder are just baby legs starting to find their feet, and I think that is a huge space. Ultimately, we want to really be a leader in women's health. Like, we're starting in period care, but we want to be your partner for all these life's messy moments, to provide you products that are these sustainable swaps, that are continuing to keep you laughing and challenging those feelings of shame and stigma around them. So I'll say we're building out those categories, and so like we had to resurrect the condom cloud, okay? STIs
no one was using it.
Are on the rise. condoms are on the decline, and the humble condom is the only thing that can prevent STIs and pregnancy.
Absolutely. Why do you think so?
I just think, like, you know, people, there's sort of like stigma about stopping in middle and pulling out a condom, or just not wanting, you know, I've always found it funny. People are really happy to have sex, but they don't really want to talk about it. So it's a category that has this weird relationship to sort of shame.
Maybe because of the pill or like any other contraceptives, people are like, okay, I'm not going to use the condom without being aware of the consequences in terms of STIs.
Yeah. I mean, pregnancy can be sort of like the main motivator, but it's not.
Well, you have an opportunity there then.
Definitely, we are working. We are coming for festival season next year. Mark my word.
The femtech industry in general, it's growing a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have any trends in particular that you're very excited about?
There's a lot that I'm hearing about, sort of like tackling UTIs with like hydrochloric acid. So
What's that?
So it is exactly how it's made. Tara would know.
We don't need to get into the specifics, but
essentially it's being used in a lot of skincare right now.
Okay.
But it actually helps sort of like repel infection. And so if you spray it on your underwear or before you have sex, it can help prevent UTIs.
Okay.
And people underestimate, like, UTIs are a huge problem, chronic UTIs, and it's just something that's not really being addressed because it's a woman's inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this incredibly as in bad stat at a women's health breakfast that I went to. The PHA group was putting on, that erectile dysfunction is researched 5 times more than UTIs, but erectile dysfunction affects 15% of men. UTIs affect 98% of women.
It's crazy.
So it's
but that shows that shows how we have been operating for the past decades. Like, women have been just neglected. Like,
and just suffering.
No one has experimented with women.
Yeah, because they're like, a UTI won't kill you, so it's fine.
Okay.
So I'm really excited actually by sort of like women-founded femtechs really having a deep understanding of the problems that we face and pushing for more research. Yeah, I think it's going to really change the landscape. And this was another crazy stat that I saw, that like we know as much about women's health now as they knew about the brain in the Victorian era.
Oh, it's nonsense.
So there's a lot of work to be done,
yeah.
and I think there's a lot of really interesting innovations that are coming out.
I'm also very excited.
Awesome. Yeah.
I have one last question for you.
Sure.
Which is, what's an overlooked business opportunity that you'd start tomorrow if you had to pick something different from what you're doing today?
Okay, no one steal my idea.
Secret. No one's gonna overhear this conversation.
No one's gonna hear me on the. But actually, Brexit threw a wrench in this plan for me.
Okay.
But I envisioned myself in my 50s moving to Paris, studying patisserie, and then moving back to London, opening a small shop that offers you a flight of desserts. You know, like you go to a restaurant and there's like 6 options and you're like, oh, I want all 6 of them. Imagine if you just could get a mini version of each of the 6. And that is my vision.
Is that like your passion project that you might do when you retire?
I really love. So I'm not like a big dessert person just typically, but like if I'm out for dinner, I love a good dessert. Like I love a creme brulee, nice panna cotta, like tiramisu. So imagine you just have mini versions of it. You don't have to choose. You just have one.
Genius.
Of each. So that is my overlooked opportunity.
Well, Suzanne, thank you so much. I've had a lot of fun speaking to you. Very incredible insights, and I really like admire what you're doing in terms of how many minds you're trying to change, like how many like opinions you're trying to change. And I think like that's very important for women but also for men. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where you guys take Flo.
Amazing. Thanks for the really great questions. It was a lot of fun.